stars there at centre half back. G'day, Nathan.
Yeah, how you going, guys? Thanks for having me on.
Nathan, thanks for joining us. Why is it that North Melbourne seem to have the wood on the Tigers? I was really worried about going into the game against North Melbourne, but you play so well against Richmond.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I think when we do come up against Richmond, it's been a team over the last 4 or 5 years, I guess, that they've compared our path through and similar age demographic and, similar draft picks and whatnot. And I think it's, Richmond have a huge following as well, so we know there's always going to be a good crowd, and, we've always tried to set ourselves to stay maybe one step ahead of Richmond, and that's probably incentive in itself. But the way our season's panning out now, obviously every game, is almost a must-win, so we're just going with that attitude, and it was great. I heard the coach speak there. I haven't heard him sort of that impressed with the win for a while, so obviously it was a great win by the boys. Well,
it was a must-win because, I think North Melbourne's a very, very good side, and I think you would too, and also the coach. But you lose those close games against Geelong and Adelaide and Hawthorn and West Coast. It must have been really difficult to keep up the enthusiasm, and then, of course, you had that unbelievable loss against Gold Coast to be able to bounce back and then, keep the spirits alive to take on the Tigers.
Yeah, it has been sort of one of those years that we've been so close yet so far, and when you do roll one or two of those in a row, the morale around the club obviously takes a bit of a hit, and I think the coaches and the staff have done a great job in, trying to keep the place as enjoyable as it can be. I guess in footy, the only way you really do enjoy your footy is if you're winning. So there's no real quick fix for, go and have a day off or do this or that, but kept the boys focused. We stepped up our training, changed a few things, and the season hasn't been as we hoped, obviously, but I think we have improved on last year. We just haven't converted that to wins, but that's something we need to obviously do now. So
how did he actually keep the spirits up? Obviously, you changed a few things as far as training is concerned, and I know he's tried to take the pressure off the club by saying, look, the ladder's pretty irrelevant to us. It's only next week's game. We can only take one game at a time. But is it because, did he come down with a positive attitude, a smile on his face, and said, look, we're better than this week and we can do better next week? I mean, was it his own attitude that sort of helped maintain the spirit of the players?
He wasn't smiling much, that's for sure. He was obviously disappointed, and we copped our whack, and he's very calculated and measured, Brad. Anyone that's sort of got to know him is, you can win by 10 goals or lose by 10 goals. You'll still get the message across he wants you to hear and understand. And obviously for some of us guys, myself included, the message wasn't a positive one because I played poorly and so did a lot of other guys. But as soon as we walked out of that meeting after Monday, it was on to next week. No dragging your feet. Don't get caught, whinging or dragging your bottom lip. Let's just get up and get going. And there's been great competition for spots from our VFL team, so training's been to a really high standard. There was
some words, said by the Richmond Cheers squad on the banner talking about the F word, that if we beat North Melbourne today, we can start talking about finals. Did that sort of filter back to the North Melbourne side or players before you ran out onto the ground, that maybe the Tigers were getting a little bit ahead of themselves?
It is quite a bit funny, actually, I guess, but no one... I think the Cheer squads have, left at their own devices as to what they like to write on their banner, so we didn't know about that. I heard about it afterwards, but Richmond, being Richmond, I guess, with such a big following and enthusiastic supporters, they've been waiting a long time for finals. They've got a good draw this year, and realistically, they probably should make finals, so all the best to those guys. But, we're obviously still aiming to finish the year off strongly, and you never know what's around the corner for us either.
So has there been any talk at all, Nathan Grima has joined us from North Melbourne, that if you don't make the finals this year, it's been a failed year for the Kangaroos?
Oh, you'd like to think so. Every year under Brad, we've improved. I think we're ninth twice, but improved our win-loss record, finished 8th last year. The group, a lot of the boys now have played 50 games plus, as they say. That's sort of the time when you should be playing consistently good footy, and if we don't make the finals, it's obviously a step back. But in saying that, we feel like we're closer to those top 4 teams than we've ever been. So, but at the end of the day, you're in it to make the finals, and that's what your supporters want. And if we don't make finals, we obviously would say we've failed to a certain extent.
You're part of a very strong backline. Scotty Thompson, Nathan, has had a fantastic year and did a great job on Jack Revolt. I think Jack kicked a couple of junk goals right at the end. I'm not even quite certain whether he even took a mark for the game, Jack. And then there's yourself, of course, playing at centre back, and Lockie Hansen, who's gone from probably the most maligned player at the Kangaroos now to being a vital player for the Kangaroos down back.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Scotty Thompson, because I think this year he's starting to get the recognition he deserves. He was probably unlucky not to be in the squad of 40 for All-Australian last year. As another tall defender, it's great to play with a top-line defender that every week's going to going to get the number one man, and then you can sort of work out your matchups around that, which is, and I haven't had the best year personally either, so he's sort of held the fort down there. And then with Lockie, as you said, it's always a high draft picks, isn't it? You know, you come with so much pressure, and if you don't perform, you're always in the gun. And Lockie's copped that a bit, but he's a great guy, and he's a pretty relaxed character, and I think he's at home in the back line, and 15 marks on the weekend and 7 from opposition. I don't think many guys have done that before. You
would have seen a big change, though, in Scotty Thompson. I think in the early days, Nathan, that, you know, he was an antagonistic sort of defender. But I think on the weekend, I'm just going from memory here, I think he might have had 22 or 23 possessions, you know, playing at full-back, playing on a gun, Coleman medalist in Jack Revolt. So he's added an extra string to his bow, hasn't he, in terms of being a good defender, a dogged defender, but he's also very much an attacking player now out of the back line.
Oh, he's a star. You know, not many guys can nullify an opponent and get your 20 touches going the other way, and that's the beauty with him. Obviously, maybe from time to time he will get beat, which has been rare this year, but you know that he's going to give you a bit going the other way as well, so he always obviously adds something. But we've had Aaron Mullet come into the back line this year. He's off the rookie list and played every game, kicked about 10 goals off half-back. He's been huge, and with Sean Apley coming in last year, sort of gives us a little bit more run and carry down there, which we obviously needed because Scotty and I are a bit bigger and a bit of plotters. So, we feel like we've got a pretty good back line that can adapt against most forward lines. But, you know, in saying that, it's only 1 week, but it was probably the best we've played together for a long time.
Well, when you talked about, those top draft picks, being in the headlights and always, people are looking at their performances. You've got a new kid coming next year, Luke McDonald, obviously the father and son of Donald McDonald. Do you see him around the club? Most people think he's a top 10 draft pick. He's already committed to the club. Is he doing any work at the club at all?
Yeah, so he's got a commitment with the football club, and he's playing with our VFL affiliate Werribee when he can, and obviously still played. I think he captained Vic Metro in the Nationals. He's going to be a super player. He reads the game really well, hard as nails. Once again, you don't want to put too much pressure on these young guys. I actually watched a bit of VFL footy and saw that Hogan at Melbourne, what he's going to be. He looks like he'll be incredible as well. So we're not going to say, Luke, he's going to burst on the scene and do anything spectacular, but he looks like he's going to be a player that's going to play a lot of games for our footy club. And it's good to get a father-son opportunity because we haven't had a lot of those in recent times.
No, everyone tells me that he's going to be a cracking player. And just at the other end of the scale, Boomer's still playing fantastic football. Obviously, he's going to play on next year and hopefully many years to come. Does he still do all the same training sessions? Nathan Grima has joined us from North Melbourne. Or, is he looked after during the week to keep him fresh and bubbly and, that great acceleration he's got?
No, he's a freak. I'm sure you've heard so many people say in the past, but he just doesn't. He's a big believer in, just training at the highest level he can every week. And I've been there 6 years now, which is not a lot compared to his 15 or 16. But apparently in that time, he's never missed a session other than he had hurt his elbow a few years back and missed a couple of weeks of training. So he's there at the start of pre-season, doesn't miss a session. He's one of the strongest in the gym. He does more recovery than any other player. And I guess they say there's no coincidence why the top line players are as good as they are, and he's testament to that, I think.
And also, Nathan, there was a lot of talk and criticism of the umpires wearing the light blue on the weekend, due with OPSM, one of the sponsors. Did you find it difficult to sort of have the umpires in the colours that may have been pretty close to, say, the Kangaroos?
Well, actually, in the first quarter, I kicked one at the umpire, and I think I used the umpire as a bit of an excuse. I think I just munged the kick a little bit. But I think, obviously, if you stood a North Melbourne jumper beside a light blue polo shirt or whatever they wear, they look nothing alike. But I think at a quick glance, you might just catch that colour. But, I'm not going to say too much one way or the other with that. I guess, if it happened, it happened. But, you think you could get them in, obviously, a nice, neutral, bright colour that's not going to affect anyone, but I don't think it was that big issue.
Well, they always have the lime green now, don't they? But obviously, just through the sponsorship, a lot of people seem to think that it was the wrong decision to actually have that colour, particularly in that particular game. Just finally, just on Majak Dura, I was watching during the Foxtel Cup. He got knocked out. I think it was the opening bounce. One of his teammates ran into him. Look, he burst onto the scene, and I think he's got a terrific future still, and there's so much he's got to learn. But he's an exciting player, and he just adds to the mix of what's happening down there at North Melbourne.
Yeah, he does. He's obviously got X factor, which not many other guys have. He's big and he's strong and he looks the goods, and he can play footy as well. So I think at the start there was a lot of pressure put on him, but he's actually backed that up. I played him a fair bit of training. Excuse me, there's a helicopter flying over my head. But I play him a little bit at training, and the amount is improving and the rate is improving. He's going to play a lot of senior footy, and he got a good opportunity. Like, unfortunately, last year we had to move on a couple of guys like Aaron Edwards and Ben Warren and guys like this who were good senior players, but what that's enabled us to give us an opportunity to guys like Majak, who's come in and, obviously a crowd favourite. The kids love him, and he's got some excitement, which the club needs.
Well, good luck next couple of weeks. Pretty important games coming up. Every game's important now for the Kangaroos, but you've got the Brisbane Lions, which is winnable. You've got Carlton, which is winnable. Melbourne's very winnable. So after round 18, you could be 9-9. So still giving yourself a chance to make the finals. I think you're good enough to actually test any side in the competition, Nathan. So thanks for joining us and good luck.
No worries. Thanks for your time, Sal.